Yes, Hamzambo family. I do hope that you're doing wonderful this particular weekend. I want to welcome you once again to the Swahili classes for the weekend. Being on a beautiful Saturday, we do hope that everything is coming along just fine. I just played as a jam, and that is actually a song by the one and only Sauti Soul. The name of the song is Asante Sana Baba, which simply means thank you so much, Father. Baba, of course, we have established or you have learned right here when you're talking about your father, whether be it biological or otherwise, we do say Baba. And therefore, if someone says Asante Sana Baba, they simply mean thank you so much, Father, for giving me an education. That is exactly what they are singing about. That is Asante Sana Baba. Thank you. Thank you so much, Father. Thank you so much, Father, for giving us an education. That is what Sauti Soul song is all about. Thank you so much, Father, for giving us an education. If someone says Asante Sana Dada, they simply mean thank you so much, sister. Because when it comes to sister, we do say Dada. That is for sister. So therefore, if anyone wants to say Asante Sana Dada, that will be thank you so much, sister. Thank you so much, sister. Asante Sana Dada, because Asante is for thanks. And if someone wants to say Shukran, it means thank you. It means thank you as well. So anyone can use those two words or phrases alternatively. They might say Asante Sana, or they might say Shukran, Shukran. So if someone says Shukran, they are also talking about the same thing. They are saying thanks. So it is understood to be the same, either Shukran or Asante Sana. Asante, which means thanks as well. So with that particular jam I just shared with us, the song has a couple of methali or proverbs. They do say majuto ni mjukuu, majuto ni mjukuu, and they also say asiyefunzwa na mamake hufunzwa na ulimwengu, asiyefunzwa na mamake hufunzwa na ulimwengu. And therefore, the song inspires the philosophy of actually training your children or training your children in the way that you like them to grow up. That is the essence of this particular song. And the song is also a song to thank the father for giving them an education. And they also do say, tunafanya kazi ili usiaibike. Fanya kazi means to do a job. Fanya kazi, fanya kazi. It simply means to do a job, to do a job. So if someone says fanya kazi, it means to do a job or to work. So if they say tunafanya kazi ili usiaibike, ili means it means so that. So if someone actually told you niambie ili nielewe, niambie ili nielewe, you would therefore interpret that as tell me so that I can understand. Tell me so that I can understand. So niambie, niambie is a phrase which means tell me, tell me. So if someone says tell me, niambie, ili, niambie, ili, nielewe, that means tell me so that I can understand. Elewa is simply a verb, and elewa simply means understand. If someone was to ask, J, unanielewa? J, unanielewa? That would be the J is to signal the start of a question, and they ask, una, ni, elewa, unanielewa? That would be, do you understand me? Do you understand me? That is exactly what they are asking. Do you understand me? And if that is in the affirmative, and your answer is in the positive, then you would say ndio, which is yes. If someone was to ask ndio unanielewa and you really understand them, you would actually tell them ndio ninakuelewa. Ndio ninakuelewa. We do have three important syllables We have learned them. We have learned about them over time right here on this particular platform. And we did say the most important, some of the most important syllables, they include these three. The ni, the ni, which is me, all, I. Then we do have the two. Two is for we. Two is for we, all, us. So therefore, if you're talking about tunaelewa means we understand. We understand. If we do say ninaelewa, it's pointing to self, I, or myself, I, and therefore ni in that particular word, in that particular phrase, ninaelewa, it means I. So do not forget about those two important syllables. The ni is for I, and the two is for we. The two is for we. If someone says tunaenda shule, it means we are going to school. If someone says tunasoma kitabu, it means we are reading a book. If someone says tunataka chakula, it means we want some food. If someone says ni nataka chakula, it points to self, the I, the singular, and therefore it means ni nataka chakula. So therefore, for example, if we did say ni nataka chakula, that means I want food. I want food. It's different from tu nataka chakula, because tu tunataka chakula, it means we want food. We want food. That is, we want food. And therefore, if you're talking about a group, then that is simply the way you would have them explain what they want. If someone also was perhaps to request for your name, they would say, ninataka kujua jina lako, which is I want to know your name. So ninataka we have learned so many times the phrase ninataka, it simply means I want. So if someone says ninataka kujua jina lako, that means I want if someone says I want, they would say ninataka kujua jina lako. That means I, pointing to self, because the ni is for self. Because the ni is for self, therefore, I would say ni nataka kujua jina lako. It means I want to know your name. But then again, if someone is responding and saying what their name is, they would actually maybe perhaps say ninaitwa Spikes. The ni, let me just put it down. Ni points to self again. Ni naitwa Spikes. Ninaitwa Spikes, which is I am known as Spikes. I am known as Spikes, or my name is Spikes. That would be jina langu ni Spikes. Jina langu ni Spikes. That would be my name is Spikes. That is when you're trying to introduce yourself. But then again, if you maybe perhaps met a group of people and you're just trying to have an icebreaker, you would actually just say habari zenyu, which is how are you? Mnaambaje, which means how are you faring? And that is simply how you would just get to know how anyone or how a group of people are faring. But if it's one individual that you're speaking to, you can simply just say umeshindaje, if perhaps that is in the evening and you're just trying to know how their day was or how everything went, then you would actually just say umeshindaje. It's simply just a way of actually just getting to know how someone's day has been. How someone's day has been. How someone's day has been. Je, siku yako imekuwaje? That is also another way in which you can ask someone, maybe perhaps how their day was. Siku yako imekuwaje? Siku yako imekuwaje? And if you say siku yako imekuwaje, then it simply means how was your day? How was your day? And maybe perhaps if you're leaving someone, maybe perhaps you're parting ways, maybe perhaps you're parting ways, you would simply just get to ask, sorry, you would simply just get to tell them, kwaheri ya kuonana, kwaheri ya kuonana. That is simply when you have you are with someone and you are just trying to bid them goodbye. Therefore, you would say kwaheri ya kuonana, kwaheri ya kuonana, kwaheri ya kuonana, and that simply is goodbye, see you again, goodbye, see you again, goodbye, see you again. And maybe perhaps you would like to ask them, when shall we meet again? When shall we meet again? If you wanted to ask that, then you would say, je, tutapatana tena lini? Je, tutapatana tena lini? Je, tutapatana tena lini? That is how you would maybe perhaps ask, when shall we meet again? When shall we meet again? Je, tutapatana lini tena? Je, tutapatana lini tena? And therefore, someone might respond and say, we shall meet, tutapatana tena wiki ijayo. Patana simply means to meet. Patana simply means to meet. And therefore, if someone says tutapatana lini, they're asking, je, tutapatana lini, you might simply tell them, you would simply tell them, tutapatana Ijumaa. So tutapatana wiki ijayo. Tutapatana wiki ijayo, simply meaning we shall meet next week. We shall meet next week. But if someone is asking, maybe perhaps along the way, they're asking maybe perhaps, what time is it? What time is it? If someone wants to know what time is it, they would simply ask you habari yako. Habari yako is how are you? Je, ningependa kuuliza ni saa ngapi? Saa ngapi? Saa ngapi means what time. Saa ngapi simply means what time. Saa ngapi simply means what time. And therefore, if someone asks je, saa ngapi, then you would respond and say maybe ni saa sita kamili. Saa sita kamili. Saa sita kamili simply means it's 12 noon. It's 12 noon on the dot. It's 12 noon actually on the dot, and that is simply how you tell them saa sita kamili, saa sita kamili. Kamili simply means on the dot. So therefore, if you're walking and someone happens to stop you, or you're trying to find out what time it is, you can simply ask, je, saa ngapi? Ningependa kuuliza ni saa ngapi? Saa ngapi? That is SAANGAPI. What time? What time is it? What time? What time? What time is it? Because maybe you're heading to a meeting and maybe perhaps you're late, and maybe perhaps you do not have your watch, but you're just trying to find out what time it is. Therefore, you can simply ask, je, ningependa kuuliza ni saa ngapi? Uliza simply means to ask. Uliza is not difficult, it means to ask. Uliza means ask. And there is also a very important syllable that is used when you're referring to verbs. And this syllable is ku. This syllable simply is ku, or ku. Ku means to do, or to do. For example, if you're talking about lala, ku, lala, it means to sleep. To sleep. If you're talking about kukula, kukula, it means to eat. Kukula, kukula, it means to eat. If you're talking about to talk, then you would say kuzungumza, kuzungumza. And therefore, when you put a ku, in front of that particular verb, it means the verb shows that the verb is in action. That is simply what that particular function syllable does. It shows that that particular verb is in action. For example, kulala, you might say kukula, you might say kuongea, you might say kutembea, you might say kushiba. Kushiba is to be full. If you're full and you've eaten, therefore you would simply just say kushiba, kushiba. And if you're talking about maybe kuzungumza, kuzungumza simply means to converse with someone, to converse with someone. So therefore you might say ninataka, which is I want, kuzungumza nawe, and that will be I want to speak to you, or I want to have a conversation, I want to converse with you. That is simply how you get to say it in Swahili. Ningependa kuzungumza. So anything that comes after the verb, when you use the ku as a prefix, use ku as a prefix for a verb, it means that that particular verb is in action. Well, it's you're actually doing. For example, ku lala, it means to sleep. Ku imba, it means to sing. It means to sing. Ku omba, it means to pray. Ku omba, it means to pray. Ku tembea, it means to walk. Ku tembea, kutembea. Basically, those are just a few examples that show in Swahili the verb in action, in Swahili, and therefore that is the way you get to understand those particular verbs in simplicity, and it means that they are verbs in action. For example, the verb for sitting down is keti, K-E-T-I. Keti is for sitting down. Keti is for sitting down. Means sit. But if you do say kuketi, it means to sit. Therefore, that is basically how those particular ones are understood. They are understood in that regard. If you talk about kuketi, it means to sit. If you talk about kusimama, it means to stand. If you talk about kuelekea, it means to head towards. And if you're talking about kufunza, kufunza means to teach. So I might say, leo ninataka kufunza means today I want to teach. Today I want to teach. And it's not even difficult, but you have to remember those are three important syllables in Swahili that we all need to remember and to understand. That is syllable ni for I, myself, syllable tu for we or us, and the syllable ku for a prefix to show that the verb is in action. It shows that simply the verb is in action. And that is therefore how we get to use those particular examples, and it's not any difficult. If you have a question, please ask. You can ask a question. If you do have a question, kindly ask. We do say tafadhali for please. So therefore we say please ask. Tafadhali uliza. If you do have a question, tafadhali uliza. If you do have a question, tafadhali uliza. If you do have a question, tafadhali uliza. And if you do not have a question, we shall take a short break and then we shall be right back and proceed with the class. Yes, that was a song right there. And once again, it's done by Sauti Sol. Now, let's do so that Sauti Sol happens to be some of the most talented bands when it comes to the African continent. We are talking about the East African part, the East African part of our continent. And we do see that we have so many other amazing talents. If you take in into African music, you can find all these talents in different parts of the continent. But in East Africa, Sauti Sol actually does stand out as some of the best talented singers right here in the 254. Once again, welcome back. and we're just getting to learn a little bit more about our Swahili. And we are saying that if you're talking about verbs in Swahili, we do call them vitenzi, and they come from the word, these are verbs, they come from the word kitendo. Kitendo is an action. Kitendo is an action. Kitendo is an action. And tenda or fanya means to do. Tenda or fanya it means to do. So therefore, if someone says ametenda, it means he or she has done. He or she has done. If someone says amefanya, it means he or she has done. He or she has done. Amefanya, it means that he or she has done. He or she has done. If you're talking about maybe Amanda, it means he or she has gone. He or she has gone. So in that particular way, realize that when you're talking about someone in Swahili, you are not really gender specific. If someone says Amanda, you would not know whether they're talking about a he or she. If someone says amerudi, which means they have come back, it means you would not really know whether it is a he or whether it is a she that they are talking about. When it comes to maybe perhaps if you're talking about to meander, of course, like I did explain earlier, the two is for we. Two is for we. So therefore, you say to meander, it means we have gone. If I did say that ni meander, then that would be I have gone. That is simply, well, I have left. That is simply how you get to explain it. And it's not even difficult. It's very, very easy to remember. If someone says nimeenda, for example, they're going to school, and they did say nimeenda shule, then that would be I have gone or I have gone to school. I have gone to school. If someone says nimeenda kazini, it simply means I have left and gone to work. Nimeenda kazini. So there might be different places that you're talking about. You might be talking about school, you might be talking about work, you might be talking about the market. So therefore, you would say nimeenda sokoni. If someone says nimeenda msituni, msitu is simply for the forest. So therefore, someone would mean nimeenda msituni. So that is simply how you get to explain those. That is the way you get to explain some of those words. That is also another amazing band. The name of the band is Villages Band, and the name of the song is Kentik. And what they do say on that particular one is that Siendi Java, sorry, Siendi Kentik, Pengine Java, which means I am not going to Kentik, maybe Java. That is the way they simply get Apologies for the hitches. And once again, I want to introduce another third syllable. And this is also a very, very important syllable. And this is syllable C. C is normally used to negate a sentence or to negate a verb. For example, if someone says sitaenda, sitaenda, enda means to go. So if someone says sitaenda, that prefix C is actually used to negate a sentence. So for today, we are learning a very, very important syllables in Swahili and their importance or their use. So therefore, C is normally used to negate, used to negate. For example, sitaenda, sitaongea, sitaketi. The minute you put that particular C at the start of your verb or as a prefix for your verb, then it simply means that you are saying you will not do or you will not do. Therefore, if you're talking about sitasema, it means I will not sell. If we do say sitaongea, it means I will not speak. If you do say sitaendelea, it means I will not continue. So at that particular point, we have learned over the syllable ni, we have learned of the syllable chu, we have learned of the syllable ku, and now we are learning of the syllable si. So therefore, all these three syllables, they are very, very important, and you have to remember their particular uses, the uses of the different syllables. I did say the syllable ni points to self, myself, or I. The syllable chu, it points to we or us. The syllable ku is used to show the verb in action. Therefore, you might say kulala for sleep, to sleep. You might say kuongea, to speak. Kukula, to eat. Kusahau, to forget. And therefore, you can use it as a prefix to show the verb in action. But if you use the syllable C, the syllable C is used to negate the verb. For example, if you do say sitakula, it means I will not eat. If you do say sitakunywa, it means I will not drink. If you do say sitaendelea, it means I will not continue. And therefore, those are some of the ways in which you can get to use and understand the uses of those particular verbs. It's not difficult. It's actually very, very easy. What you just need to do is that you need to keep on practicing, because we do say practice makes perfect. We do have so many resources online that you get to use. For example, you can have a use. You can get to use the Duolingo app. The Duolingo app will simply help you translate. Translate this particular word to that other translation. But we also do have so many videos that we have done of the Swahili classes, and these videos are very, very valuable. You can refer to them and you can be able to learn Swahili at your own pace, because you'll be able to understand more about the nouns. We have been learning about the nouns in our previous classes. We did say the nouns are known as majina. They are known as majina. We can have the name of one, the name of a thing, the name of a place, the name of an idea, the name of an event, the name of a concept. All those things, we normally call them majina, majina. And we have also learned that we can also call them nomino, nomino. And we went further ahead and we got to learn a little bit about the noun classes, because the noun classes, they get to interact. They get to interact. They get to influence how words interact in a sentence. For example, they get to interact, or they get to influence the root of the adjective, the root of the, sorry, not the root, yes, the root of the adjective. For example, if you're talking about kijiti, you would say kijiti kirefu, and if you're talking about mwanafunzi, you'd say mwanafunzi mrefu. That difference arises because of the different noun classes, noun classes that are all these particular words fall under. And therefore, it is important to also get to understand and essentially get to practice words in different noun classes, so that you can be able to get a drift of what goes on with those particular words. Once again, thank you so much for being with us in class. In case you joined us for the very first time, we want to appreciate your time, and also we do not take your company for granted. Remember, you can always send your questions to BlackHotFireAfrica@gmail.com, BlackHotFireAfrica @gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can send them over, and we would be more than glad to respond to your question regarding anything that you have learned right here in class, or maybe perhaps you'd have questions and you simply just want to understand or ask the answers to these particular questions. You are much more welcome. You're most welcome to ask those particular questions, and I would actually be more than glad to respond and maybe expound more on something that we may have missed out on right here on this particular platform. Swahili is widely spoken on the continent and even off the continent. The language has over 200 million speakers, and therefore it means it is very, very competitive. And you look at also the ease of learning. I believe if you to commit yourself to learning Swahili, in about maybe 3 or 4 months, you start getting somewhere with the learning of this particular language. You might not be very proficient, but I believe if you did have an interest in learning the language, it will actually take you to a place where you are now able to start conversing simply basic conversations and things like that. And then gradually, you would be at a place where you are able to communicate very, very well in Swahili. We do say if you're trying to learn something, the best thing that you can do is engage with people. You can engage with your colleagues. You can engage with your friends. You can engage with your relatives, and they will help you stay accountable on the journey to learning this beautiful language. And you can practice this language with them. You can exercise this language with them. Maybe perhaps you would like to have some aspirations for travel or for business or for relocating, then, or even just reconnecting with your roots, then I believe learning an African language, one of the African languages, is one of the surest ways in which assures that you get closer to your aspirations, which is very, very important. There are people, maybe perhaps they would like to relocate, maybe go to Tanzania, maybe go to Uganda, maybe come to Kenya, maybe go to Burundi or Rwanda or the DRC. Those are countries where the language is widely spoken and where the language is widely accepted. And therefore, if you are able to communicate in those, if you're able to learn the language, and maybe perhaps you wanted to tour Tanzania, you would be at a better place in terms of the local communication, in terms of conducting business, because it is the official language, it is also the national language, and the language of commerce in Tanzania. So if you're trying to maybe perhaps purchase something, you will be able to know ni bei gani. The bei gani means the price, ni bei gani, which means how much it is. You would be able to know kuna aina gani. Aina gani means the types that are there for the product, and you'll be able to know pesa ngapi or shilingi ngapi or shingapi, as the Tanzanians said. That would be how much price the commodity is going for. You might even be able to bargain for products. You might even be able to bargain for product based on your knowledge or your understanding of this beautiful language of Swahili, which we are learning right here on the BlackHotFire Talk for the weekends. We normally do learn this language over the weekends on Saturdays and Sundays, and therefore you are much welcome to join us at any point to learn this beautiful language. If anyone has a question, please ask. If no one has a question, we shall take a short break. Some music by Ben Sol. It's known as Nyombe, and we shall be right back after this particular jam. That is a jam by Ben Sol. And if someone says usisahau kuomba, it simply means not forget. Because if someone is simply telling you not to, that is usisahau. That means do not forget. Do not forget. So therefore, if someone maybe perhaps is telling you about a meeting, that you're planning for a meeting, if you're planning for a meeting and then someone tells you tafadhali usisahau mkutano wa kesho, that means please do not forget tomorrow's meeting. Please do not forget tomorrow's meeting. And someone can also tell you kumbuka. Kumbuka means remember. Kumbuka means remember. Therefore, they would say kumbuka tunapatana kesho. That will be remember we are meeting tomorrow. Remember we are meeting tomorrow. But the C once again it's normally used to to negate, used to negate or to make to turn into a negative. Turn into a negative. Therefore, someone might say usiende. If someone says usiende, usiende means do not go. Do not go. If someone says usirudi, it means do not return. If someone says usiondoke, it means do not leave. Do not leave. Usiondoke, it simply means do not leave. And those are some of the most common phrases that someone can use to negate a positive sentence from a positive sentence to actually a negative sentence. Anyhow, let me know how you feel about the language. What are some of the challenges that you have encountered when trying to learn these languages, if any, so that maybe perhaps you can try to demystify and overcome those particular challenges, if there are any, in terms of learning the language. Let us know, has it been difficult making Swahili dialogue? Because I do believe for dialogue, what you need to remember most is the common courtesy words in Swahili. The common courtesy words in Swahili. I'm talking about words such as karibu. I'm talking about words such as kwaheri, which means goodbye. I'm talking about words such as asante or shukran, which means thanks, and also words such as tafadhali. Tafadhali simply means please. It simply means please. So therefore, if someone says tafadhali usisahau, they simply mean please do not forget. Please do not forget. If someone says tafadhali usiende, it simply means please do not go. Please do not go. And those are some of the examples that I can give when you're talking about common courtesy words, and they will help you a lot in terms of sparking up conversations and maybe perhaps having some icebreakers. You can get to maybe perhaps train yourself the greetings and also the common courtesy words. The greetings are not difficult in Swahili. If you're talking about the greeting to one individual, you normally do say hujambo, which is hello. Hujambo. Hujambo is hello to one individual. It's hello, and that is to one individual. But if you're saying hello to a group of people, you simply would say hamjambo. Hamjambo. So hamjambo is the greetings. Hamjambo is the greetings to a group. To a group. The greetings to a group. So therefore, you ought to just know that hamjambo is greetings to a group, but hujambo is a greeting to one individual. Greeting to one individual. And if you do say hujambo to one individual, they would respond and say sijambo. Sijambo. They can respond and say sijambo. And sijambo simply means I am well. I am well. That is the response to hujambo. Someone might also ask habari yako. Habari yako is simply means how are you. So if someone says habari yako, they're simply saying how are you. Habari yako. How are you? And you can respond and say salama. Salama means well. You can respond and say nzuri, which means good. You can respond and say njema, which means okay. Njema, which means okay. So there are a couple of responses. Salama, which means well. Njema, which means okay. And nzuri, nzuri simply means good. It simply means good. So if someone asks habari yako, you can say njema. If someone says habari yako, you can say salama. If someone says habari yako, you can say nzuri. And the word to emphasize to mean very or a lot, the word is sana. Someone might say salama sana. Someone might say nzuri sana. Someone might say njema sana. Or kabisa. Kabisa is also another one to emphasize. Kabisa. Kabisa is also another word to emphasize. It means very. Means very. If someone says salama kabisa, it means very well, very well. If someone says nzuri kabisa, it means very well as well. And that is the way you get to respond to the greetings of someone that wants to know how you are or wants to know how you're faring. And that is someone who has simply asked unaendeleaje, which is how are you faring. You might say salama, or you might say salama kabisa, or you might say nzuri, which means good, or you might say nzuri kabisa, which means very good, very good. It's not difficult. I believe Swahili, like I did say, for me, you get to learn through practice. If you practice enough, then eventually you are able to become a pro at the language, and you can practice it with people. You can practice it with your friends, you can practice it with your colleagues, and you can practice it also with your relatives. And that way, it will help you get better at the language much faster. And if you do have particular plans to travel, particular plans to relocate, then I believe the first step is also getting to get your language knowledge together, and therefore you'll be able to reconnect to the people and just network and connect the people that you meet through this particular language of Swahili. Once again, thank you so much for being with us in class for today. Like I did say, if you do have a question, please ask. Feel free to ask any question that you might have regarding what you have just learned. We have learned of a few very important syllables. One of them is si, simply si, and this is a syllable that is used to negate. Is used to negate a verb. So therefore, if you do say si taketi, it's simply understood to be I will not sit. If you do say sita kula, it simply means I will not eat. If someone says sita endelea, it means I will not continue. But the syllable ku, the syllable ku we have also learned is very important. And the syllable ku shows the verb in action. It simply shows the verb in action. Therefore, if you do say kulala, it means to sleep. If you do say kukula, it means to eat. If you do say kuhesabu, it means to count. And that is the way this particular syllable ku is used. We have also learned about the syllable ni, it points to self. If it is say nitakula, it means I will eat. So the ni points to self, it points to I. If we're talking about the syllable tu, tu, it means we or us. You might say tutaongea baadaye, it means we shall speak later. We shall speak later. And that is essentially how you get to use those particular syllables in the context of the Swahili language. Thank you so much. Till next time, I want to wish you a happy and a productive rest of the weekend. Remember, we shall catch up in our next class right here, and I do hope it shall be there, and I shall also invite a friend. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do, so that we are also able to learn the language together, because the more the merrier. Once again, much peace and love. Till next time, say kwaheri, bye bye.